Hello, Eclectic Crafter here. So I'm trying again with this new little camera to film. The only way I can get it to work for me is this weird little plastic remote. So if I lose it, I won't be able to use it. It's some kind of an Action Pro, what is it, a Sacco, or I don't know. What I am stitching out today is a fem pad in the hoop. Just made the pattern up this morning. I've got a cardboard cutout I had created to make my own pads. Because of my condition, store-bought pads really can give me issues. And sorry ladies, but even old women, you just go from one issue to a different issue. All right. Just saying, for the rest of your life you're probably going to be using these. So I'm trying to get it to situate now. The FOP, my baby lock, needs to go in for servicing. She's really coughing and spitting, so I had cleaned her out. She's not better, so she's in the kitchen waiting to go out of town. So I hooked up the FOP and put its hoop on, but it is a 6x9, not a 6x10, which means I had to adjust it. Just ignore that. It's my birthday, so I'm getting texts and such. Anyhow, we're going to test it out. I'm going to use a yellow thread. Normally I just use white for everything. It's first going to do a placement, then I'll put the fabric over it. Now you can use, depending on how thick you want it, you can use multiple layers. You can also put down a strip for just in the center without the little flaps, and then put a full piece on the top and stitch that down. When I make them by hand, I put a pad down the center for a little extra support in there. But I use white flannel. It's a good soft fabric and it works well for me. This machine works a little differently than what I'm used to, so please bear with me. I hope you can see the yellow. This interfacing is a very soft touch, stabilizer, excuse me. A very soft touch. I believe a wash with it. I didn't try it. Let's let it. No, it's not a wash away. It's just soft touch. Unfortunately, I threw away the labeling because, way back when I bought it, I didn't do YouTube videos, so, it just didn't matter at the time. Okay, well, I should have ironed this. Let me get around the camera here. All right. Oh. This one pops up the color change. It'll tell you, show you a little picture of a spool and the color on it. If I can move it without jarring you too much, I'll show you. So on my screen, it shows blue because each stitch line I did a different color. And this will be the placement back. Why does it look so skinny? Now, I made each stitching part a different color, so that anything that was wanting to be eliminated, so if you don't want this channel, you just skip this color. So I've got this one set as green, and it's just a channel stitch right up the center. This is going to put little marks, little X's for snap placement. Again, you could skip these if you wanted. Now we're going to put the final layer on and get this all in here, covering it all up. It's going to stitch all the way around and leave a small opening from where we'll turn it right side out, and then we can just put the snaps on and stitch that. You can do a top stitching all around the edges or hand whip that shut, however you prefer to close that one edge. But let's go ahead and get this stitched into place. Oh, probably should have held that. There we go. And that's it on the machine. The fob hoops are different from the baby lock hoops that I have, and it has this, which I think is kind of cool. So if I'm doing the same one over and over, whereas I'm probably going to do multiples of this one because I need some, all I have to do is clip that. It's already to the spot I want it. I kind of like that. There's no loosen it up, tighten it up, loosen it up, tighten it up. Okay. Only problem is that I hate wasting this much of this expensive stabilizer. Sewing it with the machine really does make more sense. I would have to go upstairs and carry down my Juki, and I'm not doing real good today. I'm in a lot of pain, so that's not going to happen today, that's for sure. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. So now, where your opening is. This is very important. Where your opening is, make sure that you cut kind of close to it. I would say about 2 millimeters away. You want a gap because your fabric frays and you don't want to lose it all. But you got to leave a tail. You got to leave some room because you got to tuck that in. And if you cut it too close, you're going to have a heck of a time cutting it in. And then from that point on, it's just a matter of trimming it down. When you get to your corners, take it. Now, you know, this is your unmentionables. So, sharp corners and all that kind of stuff are not an absolute. Don't cut too close. As I said, this, if you're using flannel, it frays really easily. You're not going to keep them that long. They get stained up. I throw them out because I make my own. And, you know, all my life I had the disposable stuff that you're kind of used to just throwing the stuff away. I don't throw them away. I wash them over and over again, but after a while I just stick them in the trash. I live with a bunch of men and they hate seeing these things, so I keep them stashed up in a cabinet. I hope I'm in camera. This one doesn't work like my other one. I can't see it. Even though it shows that it's got this little screen on the front that you're supposed to be able to set up, I can't get it to set up when I try to make it show it on the front. I end up messing up all the settings. My son says, oh, it's really easy, really easy. I hate this camera. I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to learn a whole lot of new things. Oh well. I guess I'm just tired. I am today. I feel like I didn't sleep at all. So now it's just a matter of getting in here and getting this turned out. Now, I had filmed this, and when I went to turn the first one out, all the stitches came out. I was so upset. Well, what the heck is wrong with my machine? I don't ever use this machine as an embroidery machine since I bought that baby lock. So, you know, I don't really remember if I needed to change it. Well, I got in there and I changed the tension. I thought, well, we'll try that. Now, this is a small hole. So, I will warn you, it is a little bit of work to get it out. Anyhow, I changed the tension on it. And that did seem to help. I had a lot of, you know, you want to see some of your yellow on the back too. But probably a little too much. I don't know. I might adjust that back again. But it completely came apart. I was like, what? None of the stitches locked. Why? So at least my stitches are locked. And I changed my last, you know, the seam stitch. I changed that to a triple. That helps. When you're making a pattern, use a triple for your final seaming, and it holds so much better. When you just use a basic stitch, they do tend to come out, and the lockdowns in a lot of machines just aren't that good. If you're doing it to sell or give the patterns away, you want it to work in everybody's machines. So just because it works in yours doesn't mean it'll work in theirs, especially the lower end machines. I do have well, I had mentioned it earlier in the video. If I didn't cut it out, I do that when I'm editing. I'll go through and cut out all the yakking. Well, most of the yakking. I've left a lot in the last few just to see if people would like it better. Nah. The video that went up this morning, there was 3 views right off the bat. I thought, oh, goody. Yeah, the average was 53 seconds. So, oh, well, whatever. So if this camera don't work out, I'm not investing in another one. I bet I've spent $1,000 on different cameras that I can't afford to spend, and it's just not. It's not worth it. If I can't film it with my phone, then forget it. So the problem with using this particular hoop, I can make it long enough, but I can't seem to make it wide enough. I'm going to redo this pattern. It would work, but it would kind of cinch your drawers, and I don't want that on mine. So I'm going to redo it. I laid these stitches by hand. Boom, 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 boom. It's not you know, draw a picture, scan it in, hit auto digitize, and boom, you've got a pattern. You have to go in, and from one point you're going to start dropping stitches and telling it this is the path you're going to sew. And then you got to go back and do it again, because now it's got to be just inside, and you can copy it. I wish I knew how to film that part, you know, the work on the computer, because I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I could, you know, help some of the new people out. I do have some knowledge. I'm not completely crazy. But the most I can tell you is in the program I use, I drop it stitch by stitch, and then I copy it and I paste it, and then I move each stitch inside. And that way I know that, well, for one thing, it saves me from trying to draw it again. You got to eliminate some steps. But you have to move every one of those stitches. And you're going to do this 3 times. Just saying. 3 times. Minimum. Just for this thing. Now I'm going to go in there, and this is supposed to be absolutely even. And you can see it's not. See the distances? I don't know why it's stitched out uneven. But when I converted it from my PED program to sew in my FOP, all I can figure, I had to pull it up in Brilliance, because for some reason PED 10 suddenly decided today it's not going to export in something else. I have had a week, I'll tell you what. The stove's down, my baby lock is down. You know, I can't even think of everything. That's just so many. The camera, I did finally manage to get my serger threaded. I had, you know, packed it up and put it in a storage unit. I wanted to throw it out. I started to walk out the back door, going to just fling it across the cement. I wanted to smash it. I was so fed up with that machine. I didn't. I stopped myself from taking a hammer to it, and I just packed it away, and we brought it back, and I sat there with the diagram and a flashlight and my glasses on and went through it. I blew it all out, and with the air compressor I oiled, well, actually I had my husband oil everything up, and then I re-threaded it. And it's still, you do a few stitches, it'd break. Do a few stitches, it'd break. The 4th time was the charm. I discovered that there was one tiny little hole in there. You know, it goes down inside for the 4th thread at the bottom looper. And it's a little metal plate at the back end of that arm, and it has a hole in it, and it's not you have to literally pull the thread all the way through the machine and get it through that hole, and it's against the arm, so it's really difficult to get it to go through. I had been missing it and not realizing it. But when you sit there with friggin' magnifying glass and really in a light shining on it, and I finally got it through there, and it's sewing like a charm now. So at least I have a serger. Okay, so I've just, you know, talked forever. Now that it's all done, what I did was I tucked in my little edge and I top stitched it with the sewing machine, and I put the snaps on it. Now the ones that I made for the video, I ended up making 4. I had to restart it over and over again. Another camera took a dump. Right now I am using the webcam. Guess I'm going to just use my phone. I'm not going to keep fooling with cameras. Anyhow, I want it a little wider, but I'm using the FOP, and yes, I do have some really big hoops for it, but they don't have those in between. So it's a little more limiting in that way. I want like a 6x10. I don't need the huge, and my baby lock is in the shop. So this is what I made, and it will work. And all I did was open up my embroidery software, and I laid down 2 rectangles, and then I traced over them with the stitches. Copied it because you need a placement stitch, then you need a tack down stitch, and then the final one has to have an opening. So just go in there and delete some of your stitches, and you can make it as long as you want. When I may turn around and remake this a little bit bigger. I have a pattern for sewing. It's actually a little too big. I mean, it works great. I've been using it for a couple of years. But I had thought it would be nice to have more pocket size. The nice thing about these is you can fold it right up and put it right into a pocket. So this size is pretty good. It just needs the bands. I'm guessing a hair wider. I'm a pretty heavy set woman, so, it needs a little more distance there for the drawers. I'm thinking I wasn't going to put it on camera, that's for sure. So this is what we came up with. It can absolutely be sewn completely on a sewing machine. And you can do it the same way. Just let's see what's close. Here we go. Take a piece of paper, and if you've got a pad handy, trace around it. Tracing around it will add a little width, plus you want to cut out the outside of those lines so you have seam lines. And all you have to remember is to leave a gap for turning it. But it really is as simple as 2 rectangles. Make it to the size you want. I do suggest white flannel. Bleach is used to make these white. Yes, bleach is used to make everything white. But bleach washes out. It's not there forever. But there's no dyes, and the flannel is soft. We need soft. Your other option would be what? Satin? I think things would just kind of, it doesn't absorb as fast as you might want for something like this. So, yeah, this is what I would suggest. A quilting cotton tends to have just it doesn't feel rough when you're just feeling of it. A woven cotton, a basic cotton fabric, but it can. And of course you can use knit. For that matter, just cut up old t-shirts. But I thank you for joining me today, and I will hopefully see you next week if we can find a camera that works. Bye-bye.